What is your darkest secret? About 16 years ago, my parents' 51M49F at the time got a divorce because my mother turned out to be cheating on my father with a 15-year-old she had met in church. Once the divorce was finalized, my father began to date his biological cousin and almost married her. This is the TLDR version of what happened, but it was a whirlwind of WTF moments for about 3 years as everything came out. To this day, they act like nothing either of them did was wrong. I did a favor for an organized crime figure in the 90s. I inherited but ton of money and haven't told anyone for years. I have lived very modestly, but one day I plan on completely disappearing to my countryside house where no one will find me. Male. I've been selling my foot pics and videos pretending to be female for years. I once was involved in a university black market where they handed me out past exam papers because our professor never hands out one for us to practice. I studied them with a friend of mine. The week after, it was the exact same exam word for word. Only the year was changed. I memorized the answers off by heart. I finished in 45 minutes, fucked around and pretending to think for 2 more hours to avoid getting caught. I got a 95 in an engineering exam with a poker face. I convinced my rapist to let me tie him up under the guise of a sexual favor, then recorded him apologizing to me. Then I sent the vid to his mother. My best friend and husband know about this. I was about to say that I fucked my stepsister, but then I remembered this ISNT anonymous, almost got me haha. Not my deepest secret, but a card I keep pretty close to my chest. Nearly every week of my life since age 19, I've had a vivid dream about my high school girlfriend. I'm 47 now. I called DCYF on a friend and her kids eventually were removed from her home. Still doesn't know it was me. My wife hates me and I want to make it work. I do anything to make it work, but she just doesn't love me anymore. I talked her out of a divorce a couple nights ago, but I feel like all I really did was buy us maybe another month. I can't lose her, but I know it's ending. I can't say this to anyone that actually knows me. I don't know what to do. I worked in a crematorium in the late 80s. We had a shelf in the back that we stored cheap plastic urns on. One night as I was sitting and waiting for one cremation to finish, there was a loud crash that scared the shit out of me. When I went back to look, the shelf had collapsed. I ended up just scooping the ashes back into the containers but never told anyone about it. My dad was an awful dickhead, so when I was 16 I reported his endless list of shit to the police. To this day he thinks his ex-wife snitched on him. He still doesn't know that his daughter reported him. Wouldn't you like to know where the boy paid a beautiful female wrestler to pin me down over and over until I ate her pussy? Man, was she strong and skilled. Only you guys know. I'm ashamed to talk about my essay because my attacker was a woman. I am too. I have an unreturned library book from when I was a kid. I like playing those cutesy cooking games on my phone. The ones that like we used to play as kids on our computers. An IDK seems embarrassing to admit as an adult. My deepest and darkest is the list of break-ins in committed as a meth addict. Stole someone's unopened champagne from their wedding in the 1940s. Tasted like SHT, but I feel bad still. How many times a day that I wish I would die. Depression is an absolute cunt. I am fairly certain that a medication I took for 6 months about 12 years ago is responsible. Don't sick the admins on me. I keep on keeping on. My survival rate for my bad days is 100. I've had mostly vaginal sex with several 70-year-old women. When I was 10 I saw a man stab his girlfriend at a rest stop and I pretended not to see anything. I got locked outside my new apartment one time drunk with no underwear, just a t-shirt holding my cat. He wanted to check out the vestibule and I went to show him real quick. It's like empty and the door locked behind us. Loudly crying face. I didn't even have my phone on me. I ended up having to introduce myself to my neighbors coming home from dinner, like pulling my shirt down, explaining my situation. Luckily I'm a female. If I was a dude I feel like that would be even more difficult to do. Skull. I feel nothing. Always. Every emotion is faked. The love for my wife, the love for my kids, the caring about my friends, the effort I put in at my place of employment as a supervisor. It's all to fit in. It's all a show. Of course, they all will never know that. Ever. Especially my family. I would never leave them or want them to know my lack of feelings because I know it would crush them. So every day, I keep on keeping on. I love my wife dearly, but she's one of the least intelligent people I know. She struggles with very, very basic things. Her whole family does. She's from a small town and wasn't exposed to a lot by her parents and their simple lifestyle. She's said a few things that maybe some people would find cute for how ignorant they were, but I just get a little more depressed every time. Killed my grandfather for being my rapist. Well aided in his death, being sped up. Pillow to the face and made him say sorry before I held it there for a long time. Died on my birthday that year. I once drank a full loco out of a prostitute's smiling cat face with open mouth. My lawyer has advised me not to continue this post. For all of my 20s and early 30s, I was in love with my best friend's girlfriend, now wife. Nothing ever happened between us, but we were always really close friends. She even told me she loved me once, and that fucked me up for a long time. The unrequited love damn near killed me though, because on top of everything, I was a shitty friend and shitty husband to my now ex-wife for having these quiet feelings. Pretty sure the nail in the coffin of my divorce was when my ex-wife found out, so that sucked. I'm finally past all of it, thank God, but it can still hurt if I let it. I have a tin of cookies stashed away in a dark cabinet in the kitchen. You need a torchlight to see inside around the corner. Very dark indeed. I'm a guy and I enjoy wearing ladies' underwear. I'm a 36-year-old straight bearded man. I love Sailor Moon. Nostalgic AF, and I'm embarrassed by it. I hear voices almost every day. Sometimes they tell me to hurt myself. Other times they just comment on what I'm doing. I fell in love with my brother's wife a few years ago. They're separated now, but I never even seriously thought about making a move. I have a girlfriend now, and even the thought of one of my brothers being into her makes me angry. I never would have made a move, but that thought seriously puts things into perspective on how uncool it was for me to think about her like that. I think about and regret it a lot. I'm secretly attracted to a guy at work. I'm a completely straight male. But whenever I see him get the butterflies. I'm married and have a wife. He's just kinda cute. My wife thinks I take super long showers because I'm jerking off. I'm not usually. Most of the time I'm sitting in a cold shower trying to wash off my anxiety. Doesn't usually work. When these questions pop up on here, I assume a lot of people are in the same boat as me and can't share cause it's too disturbing. Every night when I go to sleep I hope that I will never wake up again. I love my grandmother. She's an amazing woman who survived the Nazi occupation of her native Holland, the death of her husband in the 1960s, and raised my mother and my aunt largely on her own. But she's now 102, in rapidly declining health, hard to communicate with, and requires so much care that sometimes I wish she would finally die so the family can move on. My dad sexually assaulted some underage girls and killed himself with a gun before facing his charges. It's not really a secret, but I don't like telling people because it gets a really pitiful reaction that makes me feel uncomfortable and somehow guilty. I was harassed by Kiwi Farms for years. No matter where I am, or what I'm doing, I always have a plan to terminate myself within 10 seconds.